This is a very interesting time for the UK because everyone is, I think, pretty much fed up with the Brexit debate. But Brexit is important in other ways apart from the very immediate, because if you dig down a bit, it is about values. It's about what does one want Britain to stand for in the future. And at a very simplistic level, the two sides are, well, we want it to be European, we want it to be entirely autonomous. But that's not really, I think, what either side is interested in. They want a Britain that is strong, they want a Britain that is proud, they want a Britain that can compete with the rest of the world, whether they're in or out of Europe. And all of those things require not just a healthy economy, but a healthy society. And I think those issues are being neglected dramatically right now, as the focus is on the very superficial dimensions of Brexit, while meantime, socially, Britain is deteriorating rapidly. The mantra has been that we need to get people off welfare and out to work. And work will bring dignity, work will bring autonomy, work will bring economic self-sufficiency, so benefits and other support won't be needed. What we've seen is that there have been huge numbers of jobs created, but a great many of these jobs are extremely low paying. And so you've now got a lot of people who are off the sort of welfare benefits they used to be on. They're working full-time or working in 2-3 different jobs, but they can't survive on that money. So in other words, even though they're working, even though the full employment policy is working, a strong social safety net is still needed. I think the starting point is to actually look at it from a whole different perspective. In other words, when we talk about full employment policies, we're looking at the well-being of the economy. In other words, how can we have the highest possible percentage of the working population employed? But that's only one, that should only be one part of the picture. The other side is, what does it mean for people to be employed? How can that employment be satisfying, meaningful in some ways? There's always going to be a lot of repetition, there's always going to be a lot of drudge work, if you like, but we can start to look at the nature of work and see where there are opportunities to improve it, where there can be skills training that is meaningful and not just part of a box that needs to be ticked, and where we really do try to ensure that people can graduate out of lower level jobs into more demanding and better paid jobs. Starting point for human rights is that there is a right to dignity, that there's a right to work, but there's also a right to an adequate standard of living. There's a right to be able to participate in decisions that affect you. And I think the human rights lens brings an additional element to the pure economic dimension. The economic dimension is it's good for the economy if people get out, but it doesn't matter so much what the quality of the work is, how that's affecting them personally, and so on. I think the human rights dimension really adds much greater sophistication to the sort of policy objectives that we need to be pursuing. The goal is similar to what the ILO has called for a number of years now, of decent work. In other words, it's not enough just to talk about work, because that misses so many other elements. Instead, we need to talk about the type of work, the conditions under which it's done, and so on. So I think the Good Work Charter is very useful in drawing attention to these additional elements, and it means that an employment policy, if that's what it's called, or the broader macroeconomic set of policies, should not only be focused on just generating jobs for the sake of it, but on what type of jobs and what future they offer to the people of the country.